Imagine a magnificent life where you can master anything you want to, where time is not a barrier. Struggles and challenges you face can be overcome. You can create ultimate control and access higher potential that brings joy and fulfillment in your life. To achieve this, we must first empty our mind to be open for new possibilities before we can launch into infinite heights. In the words of Zen Master Shinryo Suzuki, in the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities, but in the expert's mind, there are few. Join me, the maestro Vincent Chang, as we uncover the secrets to going from zero to infinity. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Zero to Infinity. We are back, and this time we're on chapter 7 of my very first and newly published book, Heal the Source and Create Lasting Fulfillment. Live, love, and laugh. Last time we talked about what is it that you really want? What is happiness? And this chapter is all about the title. It's called Heal the Source. And I've come to discover over these past many years helping others and in my own healing journey that there are certain patterns that many of us experience over and over and over again. It's like, why am I feeling like this constantly? Why am I feeling like I'm not in the right relationship and I'm always ending up in this way, in this type of relationship? And I always end up feeling frustrated and upset and disappointed. And like these patterns are created out of something that's stemming from a source. And this is what made me want to draw a lot more connections. It's like, why is it happening so often in my life? And why do I keep seeing this pattern happening with clients' lives and with certain cultures or in family dynamics or relationships? And you start to see, wow, they all stem back to something. And ultimately, the source of what we want or what we don't want, the basis of our human existence on a biological level is we want to avoid pain and seek pleasure. So most of our lives is on a don't want, which is I don't want pain. I don't want suffering. I don't want fear, or I fear what I don't want. And then on the other side is the want. Like I want to have freedom. I want to have happiness. I want to feel fulfilled. Now, what our conditioned society and our education system unconsciously, this is not intentional. Like you don't go to school and say, everybody focus on avoiding what you don't want, but that's what you're taught. That's the messaging. That's the underlying unconscious belief that you are told. Let's take going to school for an example. Well, why do we want to go to school? Well, you want to go to school so you can get a job. Well, who says get a job? But maybe that's person's was on that path. Go to school, get a job, and then make money and be secure. Now, why do we want a job? Well, then because I have to pay for something. Well, you can see on the content and the surface, the want is to have something, is to do something, it's to have money. But it's actually covering up a deep underlying don't want. And that is not communicated, but the feeling is there. I want a job because I don't want to be jobless. I want a job because I don't want to be starving. I don't want to be homeless. I don't want to feel like I don't know anything. I don't want to be seen as someone who didn't finish school, right? So I don't want shame. I don't want fear. I don't want. And when we attend and go into heal the source mode, and this is why having this, that the meditation, and you can go on the website and connect with me, and I can give you a copy of that. it's to really get to an honest feeling with yourself and to get to the source of any don't wants. Because when we go deep enough, you ask that motivation, ultimately, there is an underlying don't want. And if we can see that, or we can really embrace it, now we can pave the way forward. But if we focused on, if I don't have a job right now and I go and get the job, that does not satisfy the underlying don't want or want. It just relieves it. Because if I don't have a job and I feel shame, or I feel scared and I'm fearful that I won't have enough money, now I get the job, I'm only taking care of the relief of the fear. Versus, what do you really want? Why do I want a job? Well, oh no, that's actually not getting me what I want. The job's not getting me what I want. Well, I actually want to feel fulfilled and joyful and of service, of transformation, of fulfillment and passion. That's what I want. Well, out of that, then you get to fulfill your financial dreams or securities. So really taking the time to ask yourself that, what is the source of your why or your don't want? And that would be the next chapter. Like, why? Really, why is that important? And if you're able to then see that underlying all of that, you want something, but it's really a don't want. Now we can understand why we're stuck. So that breaks the cycle. And to attend to the source of what you do want or don't want, the don't want is always based on fear. So if we really go to that space and open up to, what is it that I'm really afraid of? Well, why do I want to, I don't know, graduate and get a good job? Well, it's so that I can be seen and validated. My friends will think that I'm successful. My family will look at me and say, I've achieved this. Or is it, well, now I'm avoiding to be a disappointment, right? Is that the don't want? I don't want to feel like I'm rejected. I don't want to feel like I'm not accepted. And you see how that negative, in the negative talk, the syntax of it, it's all around things that we don't want, and it never really gets fulfilled. And that's why myself, I went through life feeling unfulfilled, even though I've achieved so much. I've achieved lifetime beyond lifetimes of things that people don't even do in half their life, but yet I felt empty. Well, because that's not what I really wanted. I did not want to be the next world-class conductor. I did not really want to be, a rich, engineer. I did not want to be the smartest person in the world. That's what I thought I wanted, but it's actually to avoid feeling the sense of emptiness. So I'm chasing after something to fulfill and avoid the feeling of empty and unhappy. So if we look at what I don't want to be unhappy. Now we switch it. I want to be happy. Now we can ask the question of the source of what you do want, which is, what is happiness? Oh, happiness is a feeling that I'm so grateful for what I have and have achieved. Well, of course I'm not happy, even though I've achieved it, because my whole logical mind, feeling, emotional, psychological path is towards something that is just avoiding happiness. Versus, now I know what I want. The source of it is to feel fulfilled and honored. And if I'm doing something to feel accepted by someone else, and if they don't accept me, now I feel like I've lost and I've failed. I have absolutely no power into who I am and even what I'm doing. So by going back to the source of what you do want, which is, I want to feel accepted and loved and encouraged and supported. Well, I have to look at that for myself, wherever I'm at. But what I see is everyone else who does not understand me or see and and see what I'm doing is worthwhile. Like, you know, here booking a one-way ticket to pursue something that I had no contacts with. There's no plan. No one really said, way to go. They're saying you're crazy. Where's your plan B? How are you going to do this? How are you going to do that? What if you don't? No, it's not going to work. And it's all fear, fear, fear. And if all I'm getting is fear, well, I don't feel motivated, nor encouraged or confident in what I'm doing in my decision. So then I second guess myself and I say, I'm not going to do it because, oh yeah, I agree with all of you. It's crazy. Versus I want to discover something that's unknown. I want to dive deeper into something I have no idea about, but I love, regardless of what people think or feel or understand. That, when I did that, oh, okay, it's satisfying part of the want, but it's still trying to fill that don't want of I'm avoiding unhappiness. I'm feeling empty. I achieved this. Now I have to go to do the next thing. So I'm going to do this, outrageous thing to fill that. But the want is to feel accepted in what I'm doing. So part of it is, that's why I created my win journal process. We're always looking to feel validated in what we're doing, but yet most of the time we are judged and criticized for what we haven't done or what we haven't achieved or what we didn't do well enough. And so that creates a sense of lack. And with that lack, I never felt like anything I did was good enough. Even perfect wasn't perfect, wasn't good enough. So it's training and going back to the source of what it feels like to be good enough. You hear about this all the time with, self-help books and other podcasts. You are good enough. But the mind on a deep layer is unable to comprehend and believe that you are good enough. Doesn't even know what that means, because we're only operating on trying not to be not good enough. So everything's a double negative. Everything is a don't want. I don't want to be lacking. I don't want to feel like I'm not accepted, and I don't want to feel rejected. All of these states that are in a don't want lower, it's a different realm altogether. So if we move now to what I do want, and the source of that is I want to feel accepted. So if my deep belief is that I'm a failure, I'm not empty, I'm not good enough, that's not acceptance at all. So how do I move to a place of acceptance of where I'm at now? To say that, well, I'm actually afraid. I'm deeply upset and I'm deeply disappointed in where I'm at right now. And just to stay with that. That's acceptance. See, even in the state, we're conditioned to not accept that. You shouldn't be sad. You shouldn't be afraid. We're judged on what we are feeling. We're judged, and people identify based on conditioning and their fears, that just because I'm upset and I'm depressed and I'm afraid, that it's me. I become that fear. And now people say, don't do that. Don't be like that. That's bad. So change. Well, that in itself is a rejection of who you are based on what you're feeling. You're not allowed to feel that. You're not allowed to be you. And this is the source fear of what we all are in this whole, human experience for. Do I put it in this chapter? There's only one fear. We fear not existing in relation to someone else. We fear rejection. We fear shame. If we're alone, Now we're helpless, right? A baby dies just from neglect by being alone. So evolutionary, psychologically, our basic need is to be in connection. And my first, well, I still have this company called Deepening Connections. That's the whole point. Deepening connections with everyone else, deepening connections with myself, understanding a lot deeper what is happening to me. Why am I feeling this way? Why am I stuck? What am I afraid of? What do I really want? What is the source? Why am I in pain? So I encourage you to really ask that question, why? And what is the source? Is it a don't want, really? Or is it a want? And if it's a want, what is the source of that want? Can you go a little bit deeper? And ultimately, we get to the source by connecting to a feeling and an emotion, but only if we're able to fully embrace who we are and what we're feeling right now and allow ourselves, hey, I'm completely terrified right now. I'm lost. I don't know. I feel like a failure because I haven't achieved enough, even though I have done all of this. I don't feel validated. Okay, then you stay there with the state. We don't have to do anything with it. See, once we're here, our conditioning is that we can't tolerate it because that's pain. It's suffering to be in fear, to be in sadness, to be in anger. So get rid of it, reject it, deny it. But we attach ourselves to what we're feeling and what we're doing, so our whole sense of self is denied. And when we're denied, we are rejected. And when we're rejected, now we feel like we don't exist. And so now we're trying to fight and claw our way back from this non-existence so that we want to make sure that we are accepted. Well, if you change your opinion of me being in fear, well, if I'm not afraid anymore, if I'm happy, or if I'm just normal, now you're not in fear, and now I'm not rejected. It's very different from this honoring and acceptance of where you're at. Like, don't do anything yet. Just understand. Just watch. Just observe. Not to deny or reject, and it's pulling you from a place of here nor there. It's all good. It's all bad. We're completely in this 1 or 0 state, and we don't know how to just be. Constantly doing. So what is the source of what you really do want? Are there parts of you that you really are afraid to look at? Well, I encourage you. That's what got me started. This is what I do. But for me to be able to do that for someone else, I had to open up about all of my fears and experiences and shame and sadness and failures to someone else, whether that be a therapist, a mentor, a coach, someone you really trust that can help you just provide a space of acceptance. And yes, it takes years of training to be in that state because we're conditioned to avoid it. That's why sometimes it's very hard to even find a friend or family member to talk about some of these deep, vulnerable things that are sensitive. Because it's not, we're not trained to have the capacity to do that. We're going to have our own emotional triggers and fears around that ourselves. And so now we want to avoid it. So when we tell the other person, I can't handle it. Well, that's the honest truth. So we must go beyond that and say, okay, just because a few people that I thought I could depend on can accept me, they can't, and I have to grieve that they can't. Let's continue to honor that I do need that so I can learn how to do it for myself. And so this is the whole process of healing the source. It's to honor that need to feel accepted for where you're really at so that you can form that internal relationship for you and accept yourself and believe that you are accepted where you're at. Now you're no longer in conflict and trying to get to the next thing or do this or have this and avoid this or sacrifice yourself for this. No, you're just being and you're completely full. And it's not an easy concept to explain because you have to go through it. And so if you're thinking about this and this is conjuring up, like what is fear? What do I really want? What do I don't want? And it's to have a conversation. Like there are hundreds, thousands of therapists and mentors. Reach out to me. Go on my website. Just book a call. Talk about it. At least you get a deeper understanding of what you really need. Versus we have no awareness. We're just asleep or unconscious in our own fear. And also in our own unconscious desire and need to want something, but then feel like we can't have it because we never got it. All right, so heal the source. How do we get to the source? It's being authentic and honest, fully with where you're at. And maybe it's an opportunity, if you haven't done so already, to have that conversation with someone you trust so that you can deepen your connection with your own self. And with that comes all the power. So you can get a copy of my book. Go on healthesource.com and click book. You can download the first 3 chapters for free, get a sense of that. And feel free to book a discovery call with me. Just talk about something, ask those questions. Because if we don't ask, we don't get. But then we're also conditioned not to ask because we've been rejected from asking because we don't want to hear a no when we ask and feel the shame of asking that I'm missing out on something. Like, see, the don't want goes in, listen, and I can go forever. But once you know that, now you have power. So if you don't know, ask, because this is about honoring you and what you do need. Thank you all for listening. Once again, feel free, spread the word. This is all about helping us to heal the source of our own selves. That actually will take care of. This is why I created this. By understanding the source of your own conflict, you actually resolve conflicts with other people. You don't have to resolve it because most of the time, if not all the time, the conflict results in a trigger within yourself and a source from the past of that. And once we're able to do that, we can manage conflicts. All world conflict can end, and we can manage it and shift into a higher level of consciousness and being instead of fighting with each other constantly and not getting anywhere. But you can learn that lesson. We can evolve. We evolve by going deeper within, by being completely open and vulnerable and honest. So until next time, thank you for joining me. From zero to infinity, we keep going. Till next time. You've begun this incredible journey to infinite mastery. To reach infinity, you must first get to zero. Be open to learn so that you can become a master in whatever you desire. Infinity is possible when you master and leverage time to your advantage. Subscribe to the Zero to Infinity podcast with Maestro Vincent Chang to gain ultimate control and realize higher potential. Visit my website at vincentchang.ca and healthesource.com to learn more about creating success and balance in your life so you can master anything.